So that's how we kind of just say, we're just going to do this together. We're going to learn the craft, and then we're going to build the craft together, which is going to make it very strong. The foundation is the most important thing.
In the studio today, we have Brian and Sir Tyler Turner, a father and son duo who are both attending ACC in the communications program and plan to use their education to further their business, StaticTV. So Tyler, tell me a little bit about StaticTV.
Well, initially I started Static in the beginning of 2020, 2019, 2020.
So right around COVID?
Yeah, right around COVID. And I've always had just this ideology of how I think. And that's where Static stems from, is an expression of my thought process. And one slogan I have is static clarity within the blur. And what that is basically just, like I said, my thought process. So I start off as everything's just all over the place, but once I focus in and tune in, the static just kind of goes away and it's clarity within the blur. So with Static, I just basically expressed that to my dad and was like, hey, this is the idea that I want to create. Let's do clothing. And I started doing merchandise. I started looking more into content creation and how videos are made. And I was like, okay, this is how I can express my vision.
And from there, when he told me that he was interested in creating this brand, I said, okay, son, what do you want to do? You want to make clothing, or, what's your idea?
You got to tell somebody what you're doing.
Right. So when he kind of explained to me, like, okay, I want to do clothing, he had a friend that was big into making his brand work for him by doing T-shirts and stuff like that. So that's cool. So let's get a heat press. Let's look into getting like embroidery machines. And so we could just start a brand and have merch already. Going from there, I started thinking, hey, we could kind of turn this into something, because our Static logo, it's a TV with Static in the middle. I said, well, that's like a news station. That's like informative. We could teach something.
And
with
retro
that.
Too.
Right. So from there, let's turn Static clothing into StaticTV. And so that's where the communications comes in, because here we could broadcast news. We could do podcasts on our thoughts as father and son, or just the general public. We could interview people and just get clarity for the world.
So what is the core of the business, though? Is it going to be, are you creating content like for social media as well as sort of your label for the clothing? Or?
Yes, exactly. We're getting a media group together, a website, and we'll be posting the majority of our content on there. It's StaticTV. And with that, we'll be posting the content on other platforms as well, just to give it more exposure. But ideally, we want everyone to come to our main page.
Okay. So you've been working on this idea now for going on about 5 years. So how did you end up, what finally kind of occurred to y'all, like, we need to get an education in this stuff. So how did that path lead you here?
That's a good question. Very good question.
Well, like my dad said, we started off by investing into different things that we did a little bit of research, tried it out. It would work, but it wouldn't. Other things wouldn't. We got experience in it, but we figured, hey, we need to go ahead, like you said, come to school and just learn how to properly produce this, because we'll get some attention here and there, but it's not consistent.
People value production.
Yeah, quality is very important.
For me, the expense. Okay, we were spending money on this equipment. We didn't have any knowledge of how to operate any of it. So we had to go to an institution to teach us how to use this equipment. So for me, let's make it into a business that's viable for us, not a hobby.
So what was your background before this?
I'm a carpenter, journeyman carpenter, artist. Did tattoos for 15, almost 20 years professionally. I've had tattoo studios. I do anything from canvas work almost to sculptures, within the art world. My dad and I, we have an upholstery business that we've been running for the last 25 years.
So y'all are used to running businesses.
Yes, sir.
So the business side of it, then
our entire
you have plenty
family.
of experience
Yes,
of it,
sir.
and plenty of support for like.
Right, correct.
So for you guys, it was really the technical aspect of
Yes.
how do we fulfill this? It was the production part of it, not the business side of it.
Right, right. It was the production part of it, and because we absolutely didn't have a clue on how to running it.
Yeah, you see these videos, but you don't realize the amount of time and effort that are being put into them.
Okay.
So with us saying, okay, we're going to venture into this, we want to be professionals at all times. You know, I just say like, hey, I haven't been in school in 30 years. You need to go to school. This is when we decided that we're going to do this together.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do this adventure together. And it allows father and son to bond a little bit more. You don't really see that in society now. You
And
know,
learn at the same
men,
time.
right, and build. You know, and I'm building for my future as well as his. You know, because you know the youth are, you know, that's the future. You know, but so that's how we kind of just say we're just going to do this together. We're going to learn the craft, and then we're going to build the craft together, which is going to make it very strong. The foundation is the most important thing. So we want to start it right.
Sir Tyler, what is it like going to school with your dad and learning these things together like that? Because, I mean, when you think of college, you think of, and that's the first time a kid in his life is going off and doing what they want to do for themselves, and nobody's there to tell them to get up and go to school and do your home. But you're going to school with your dad. So, I mean, how do you feel about that every day?
Honestly, it puts things into major perspective for me, because whereas for someone else, they have, like you said, they have to manage themselves entirely. For me, I'm still managing myself. He still gives me the respect as an adult. And, okay, you go your way, I go my way. But at the same time, it's still that support on certain things where I may not see something as an issue. And he's like, hey, this is the direction you need to be going. Because it's through experience.
And I'm not like giving you that. It's your choice still.
Yes.
I'm just
Right,
giving
well,
you an
yeah.
advice so you can make
it's
the
an,
right
it's an
up.
accountability. You're holding each
Right.
other accountable.
Right.
Because even though, yeah, you're going to school with your dad, he's still not holding your hand.
Right.
Yeah, and
He's learning too. So it's like
Yes.
And we're looking at it as he's my business partner.
Right.
We're building this together. It's not a separate thing. So whenever we're talking about investing into something, whether it's learning a new skill, we have to be able to both do those things and be the CEOs in order to properly run the business.
Right.
Brian, what is it like for you? Because, you know, what's interesting is, you know, parents, their kids, they go to school. And it's really the first time the parents, their kids have a whole side of them that the parents never get to see because they're in school. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to school with your son, and you're both learning just like him. He's having his own experience. But what is yours watching your son learning and growing, both as a student and just as an adult?
Yes, I have thought about that. I've been doing this with Sir Tyler for the last 6 years. And when he started high school, because he took a break when he graduated, 2-year break, I was, okay, we're going to be best friends. Okay. Not to monitor you or just to make sure that, because peer pressure is very serious. The stereotypes and the propaganda that was put upon the youth then, I was a victim of that. And so I didn't want my son to be a victim of that. So it's like, say, 6 years ago, we became best friends. I'm your dad still, so, and you're my son, so we're going to give each other respect on that. That relationship kind of made it a little bit easier to go into higher learning as being a father and son. And I learned from Sir Tyler because 30 years ago was the last time I was in school. So there's a humongous generation gap. And so being cool with my son for the last 4 or 5 years before getting into college kind of puts me in the perspective of the youth of today. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Well, your whole learning process is going to be different from his.
Right. I'm fresh off the press. I just got through doing this.
Yeah.
And when I've been retired from doing this for some time. So that was like a real big, I'm not good with computers.
You're going to have to be.
Haven't written an essay in some time. So, you know, being able to say, okay, son, can you kind of just help me out with this? Just, you don't have to do it for me, but just give me some pointers. You know, put a thesaurus in my hands to help me kind of just, you know.
He thinks the sources are still in hands.
Right. Right. That's why I said that.
But ultimately, what that does for me, it allows me to learn whatever we're doing that much better.
Right.
It's been nice though. I've really been enjoying it. This is our second semester, and basically I've been enjoying every step of the way. I've sustained an injury to where my back was hurting, so I had to, my second half of this 8-week the split session. The second 8 weeks, I had to do it, come to school with a cane, so I really felt but
really playing into the father son.
Right.
Look.
So I felt really out of place, but he still encouraged me to like, hey, we're doing this together, hang in there, and it helped. It helped because I would have given up.
Okay, well, you two, good luck, and thanks for coming to talk to me today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
To learn more about Brian and Sir Tyler's adventure, visit static-tv.com. Thank you for listening. To read more, visit albincollege.edu/news.